So the question is, am I an asshole for not wearing a mask? I mean, where we live right now, almost everybody's wearing a mask. And I walk into a store, pretty much the only one not wearing one. So does that make me an asshole?
Depends on the perspective you're coming from. So if it's coming from the perspective of someone who genuinely believes that you could be walking around with a deadly virus that's going to kill them,
COVID!
And the one thing that's going to stop it from happening is a piece of cloth over your face, then to that individual, of course, you're an asshole. If it's someone who doesn't believe any of that stuff, then of course to them you're not an asshole. So really that's just a matter of perspective. So the question really is, what is your perspective? And what does that perspective mean to you? And once again, are you accountable for the perspective that you have? So we instructed Angel at the beginning of this, research masks and find out if they actually do anything. And with everything that she found, her conclusion was, they don't. So then the next question was, well then what are they about if they don't actually do anything?
That is the question.
And her conclusion was, they're about controlling us. They're about intimidating us. They're about keeping a fear alive so that this entire emergency can be kept alive.
Why?
So in her perspective, this is a lie, a giant lie, and she doesn't want to participate in a lie. And she genuinely believes that by not participating in the lie, she's actually contributing to the truth being exposed, prevalent, more powerful. She's helping people see that when you're around someone who's healthy, you don't automatically get sick. So that's her perspective. And she's basing her actions on her own perspective.
Mm-hmm.
Now, some people will say, well, I'm going to base my actions on someone else's perspective. So I'm going to take the most fearful person and I'm going to wear one to make sure that that fearful person doesn't feel afraid anymore. And if that's the perspective someone wants to adhere to and act upon, that is also their business. So our answer is truly, it really depends on your perspective. What we will say in addition to that, though, is wearing one or not wearing one should absolutely be the choice of the individual. When you get into demanding that everyone does something and that doing that is against some people's will, then you get into very problematic areas where you're going to get people rebelling against what you're trying to force on them. And you're seeing that right now.
Some places more than others, I hear. I mean, here, not much rebellion, but I hear about friends who live in other places, a lot of rebellion against it. Obviously, there's rebellion because we hear complaints about it from the experts that people aren't adhering to these mandates. And this is why we're having so many new cases. Never mind the fact that we're testing more people and the reliability of the tests are very questionable depending on which one you're getting. So there's just so many questions that go with this, which is why, you know, people like me don't wear it. And we've just seen too much information shift back and forth. Fauci's changed his mind. Wear one, don't wear one. We've had other experts who aren't on the White House payroll also saying don't wear one, and some saying do wear one. So there's all kinds of advice being given. But truly, let's go back to the beginning, ladies and gentlemen. Remember that we were only supposed to be flattening the curve so we wouldn't overload hospitals. And it's turned into something very, very different. In fact, why are we now pushing masks so much? That was one of my big ding, ding, ding bells of concern was this should have been in the beginning. Well, we didn't know much about it. We didn't have the numbers. The numbers right now, certainly, if you're looking at them and just taking it in, don't show any reason to be wearing a mask. They just don't. Even if they did have some effectiveness. Why now? So that was my big question. And if you do believe that there's an agenda behind this other than, somehow flattening the curve forever, never having any kind of bump, which isn't going to happen, then what is the reason for it? Why are people being forced, arrested, fined, shamed by their peers if they don't wear a mask? What's really going on? And if you can't ask that question, then I have a problem with that, because it's certainly worth asking. You certainly can let your tumblers give a few turns to go, wait a minute, this isn't making sense. And a lot of people out there are thinking these thoughts. They're having these questions. They talk amongst themselves. They just lack the courage to step forward with that concern or even decision of, I think this is a bunch of BS, and just refusing to do it. I don't think everybody I see wearing a mask right now wants to be wearing it or even thinks that it's necessary. But they don't want to be one of those people that gets called out by their peers or arrested or fined for that activity of removing the mask. But I'm just going to say what I've been saying now for months. I'd like you to think about it. If you think it's being an asshole, I get why you don't want to do it. But I'm willing to take that chance to be an asshole for someone else's opinion of me, to go ahead and stand up for what I think is the right thing to do, to say, hey, I won't be contained, I won't be controlled for no good damn reason.
Yeah, we agree with that. And the other cool thing that occurs when you're a healthy individual refusing to wear a mask and you go around people that are afraid is that in their subconscious mind, what occurs is when they're around you and they don't get sick, that's recorded in the subconscious mind as, oh, I was around a human being without something covering their face and I didn't get sick.
Yeah, right.
Because the entire push, the entire message is that if you don't wear one, you will make others sick.
You're going to
even
kill
if you're not sick yourself, which is ludicrous. But if you're wearing one, then somehow you're not going to make someone else sick. That's the general message. So as you guys can prove that that message is bogus, then everyone accepts that it's bogus and stops believing in the facade.
Well, Origin and I were in the park today. I mean, it's a decent-sized park. And there's a fairly wide sidewalk. And passing by people, they didn't have it on, but they got past you. And they could have been doing it because they felt like that we wanted them to do it. I don't know why they did it. But you're outside. I see people in their cars wearing their masks. I see people jogging, riding their bikes with no one around, wearing their masks. So it's obvious that it's not even something that they're pondering with logic of why they're even wearing it at times, because that's not logical. And let's face it, we weren't even suggested to do that by the people who are mandating this at state and city level. So people, and I can almost feel this badge of honor. Put that mask on and look at me. I'm a good citizen. I'm doing my part. I'm wearing my mask. God, I'm like Captain America right now. Captain Marvel. I mean, it's this weird, like they're being patriotic by putting a muzzle over their face. I feel it. I see it. Not everybody, but some. So what is going on with that? You know, they proudly put these on their kids. So there's something that turns my stomach. You know, that makes me angry to see that kind of weird pride in putting a muzzle over your face and your kids. What is going on inside of your head that makes you want to do that with pride? What is that about?
It depends on the individual, we would say, but it goes along with the message that's being just broadcasted to you constantly. Those of you that turn off your televisions don't see the message as much.
True.
But the message is that if you care about others, you wear it. If you're someone who's selfish and don't care about others, you don't. So because so many have accepted that message as truth, even though it's absurd, when now the mask represents for so many, I care about you. What everyone doesn't understand is this is literally brainwashing. Because if you look at all of the data, it doesn't support that message.
No.
So at some point, like we've been saying, everyone's going to have to become very accountable for the information they're taking in. And understanding, is this information real? Is it legitimate? Or is it a manipulation of some kind. Because until humanity starts to see through all of the manipulations, you're going to have a very hard time.
I agree. So, is the question answered? Are you an asshole or not? Like they said, it's a matter of perspective. But right now, I'm definitely willing, and for the foreseeable future, plan on being an asshole to some people because I feel like it's the right thing for me to do is to stand my ground. Thanks for watching, and we'll talk to you guys soon.